Right now, flowers mean something. You give them when words fail. At weddings, they celebrate life. At funerals, they soften death. But that instinct is ancient, older than cities, writing, even language. So what did ancient humans actually do with their dead? The answer begins with grief. Then it becomes something stranger. Archaeology cannot excavate feelings. It cannot uncover thoughts or tears, but it can measure effort. A grave must be planned and opened, a body carried, time surrendered. And ancient people did exactly that. At Qafzeh Cave in Israel, Homo sapiens buried their dead about 100,000 years ago. Archaeologists found up to 15 people. Near them lay 71 ochre pieces. Stone tools carried the same red stain. That was not random dirt. It was color placed near death. Perhaps it meant blood or life. Perhaps memory, status, or identity. We cannot know the exact meaning, but the action was deliberate. Your ancestors did not simply leave. They changed the body's appearance. They marked the goodbye. And humans were not alone. At Shanidar Cave in Iraq, Neanderthals placed multiple bodies in almost the same location. One woman, called Shanidar Z, lived around 75,000 years ago. Her body rested beside others. This suggests repeated returns, not one accidental death, a place remembered across time. The famous story says flowers were buried. Pollen inspired that beautiful idea, but later research raised doubts. Burrowing bees may explain it. The popular image is flowers. The stronger evidence is intention. Neanderthals returned to their dead. That is not simple disposal. That is memory becoming place. But before we go further, tell me your country below. Every culture handles death differently. At Dolní Věstonice in Czechia, 3 people shared one grave about 26,000 years ago. Red ochre marked the central body. Tools and ornaments entered graves. Each choice said something. This person still matters. But it gets far stranger. About 14,700 years ago, people entered Qafzeh Cave in what is now England. They treated human remains with careful, repeated actions. Some skulls became polished cups. Researchers see ritual cannibalism, not hunger, not mindless violence, a controlled tradition with meaning. To modernize, it feels horrifying. To them, it may have kept the dead within the living group. We should not pretend certainty, but we should notice the pattern. Death did not end relationships. It changed how relationships worked. Then, flowers finally appear clearly. At Raqefet Cave in Israel, Natufian hunter-gatherers buried people between 13,700 and 11,700 years ago. 4 graves preserved plant impressions. Sage, mint, and other flowers formed soft beds beneath bodies. Not drifting pollen, but arranged plants. Their scent may have filled the cool stone chamber. Practical, perhaps, but also beautiful. Flowers were already carrying meaning, just like yours do now. Yet the deepest evidence is found in impossible effort. At Sunghir in ancient Russia, people buried 2 young individuals about 34,000 years ago. They lay head to head. 16 ivory spears joined them. Over 10,000 ivory beads covered clothing and bodies. Each bead was shaped and drilled. Each piece was carefully sewn. The beads may have been worn in life, but the living buried them too. They gave wealth to the dead. For people facing Ice Age cold, every useful object mattered. Yet those treasures stayed underground.
That is not simple disposal. That is value made visible. Perhaps grief made visible. And suddenly, ancient death feels less distant than expected. No written prayers survived. No final speeches were recorded. No names remain. But a grave is a message. Red ochre says, remember. Ivory beads say value. Flowers say, handle them gently. So look again at modern flowers. The vase beside the photograph. The bouquet lowered onto earth. The technology changed. The feeling never did. Your first goodbye was not modern. It began before history and writing, perhaps before spoken memory. You are still carrying flowers for someone your ancestors loved.